we speak truth. By students, for students, that's the proof. Grab the mic, learn to move and groove. In our world, sit back and feel the youth.
Hello, Hall Pass crew, and welcome back to another episode of Between Classrooms.
Today's episode is on identity and belonging, and will feature design team guests.
To define identity and belonging in this episode, we will use the formal definition as well as our group's personal understanding of identity and belonging.
The formal definition of identity is this. Identity refers to an individual's sense of who they are, encompassing their personal beliefs, values, and characteristics. Belonging, on the other hand, is a feeling of being a part of a community or group, feeling accepted and valued. While identity is internal, belonging is more about external connections and social relationships.
In school environments, identity and belonging is important to students' experiences in the classroom as well as in extracurriculars. If you don't belong in a space, it can cause you to lose or feel ashamed of your identity. Having a space where you can foster relationships with people who share identities or believe in the importance of identity and belonging creates more of an encouraging and engaging learning environment. Here we'd like to take a second to talk about why we believe identity and belonging are important.
So I have a little story to tell about identity and belonging. As someone who grew up Latina, I used to be so good at Spanish and did not have a single English word in my body. And like this really populated like English speaking environment did not help me at all. So like going into elementary, they really didn't know how to help me get better at English. So they asked my parents like, hey, can you just stop speaking Spanish here and just like focus on English? So then she'd be able to like graduate and like live like life in America. And so they did. And I slowly lost my Spanish by the time I graduated, but I gained English. So this is how you guys can understand me now. But going into middle school, it was like everyone made it like so shameful. Like I knew I was Hispanic, but a lot of people were like, you're not Latina or you're not Hispanic enough if you don't know Spanish. You're no Sabo kid, like, and all that. And it was really frustrating because I knew that I identified it with those like characteristics. I knew I identified it because my mom's from Guatemala, my dad's from Mexico. But I didn't feel that sense of belonging that everyone else had, and like I didn't feel that community. It's not until high school when I started doing LSU that I started realizing how many kids were shunned out of this community just because they lacked the sense of speaking Spanish or lacked the look of speaking Spanish or were too dark to be Hispanic or Latina or Latinx or were too pale. And it was like really weird because it was both in the community and outside of the community. So this is why it's like personally, it's identity and belonging is so important to me, because if we don't have that sense of belonging, then we don't really feel that identity in between us.
Yeah, I can't imagine like how hard that must have been, like having to give up like one part of your identity to basically just leave it behind to just completely change into like how the school districts made you speak English just because that's what they spoke. I can't even imagine. It sounds absolutely awful.
Luckily, it has gotten better at the school my sister's now going to it. And yeah, her Spanish isn't the best as we wished it would be, but like she still has those characteristics that I wish I had growing up. So that's why we wanted to make this episode about identity and belonging, because both of them connect.
We're excited to give you a sneak peek into our next episode's special guest educator.
Brenda Joseph is a staff advisor for Student Voice and the main staff supporter for Thurston High School's 5 Powers. 5 Powers is a group formed at Thurston High School in 2023 that created a place for leaders in affinity groups to meet together and plan outside of and within their school community.
Ms. Joseph has supported the group with their missions, meetings, and adventures into the world from the beginning.
That was my experience. Definitely an experience I had.
Definitely. Do you think having like LSU helped you out with those experiences?
In a way, it also during my freshman year, during my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't join the LSU only for one reason, and that's because there's so much drama in between. And I found this out that another design team member also had the similar experience where they were actually shunned from the LSU because they didn't speak Spanish or didn't speak Spanish for their like standards. And so after all those people graduated and I joined the LSU, I realized how many kids just stopped going to LSU only because they felt shunned. They felt like they didn't belong. They couldn't be labeled as Latinos, Latinas, Latinx, whatever you prefer, because of like certain traits that they had.
That like sucks because affinity spaces are supposed to like bring in like identity and help like give you a place where you can be with people who you feel like are like you, and so it must be really hard. I've had similar experiences. I'm Jewish, but I don't practice Judaism, and so like starting up a JSU without like knowing anything about like religion or anything has been really hard because it's like figuring out what to talk about at meetings and like how to like explore culture that you're not really aware about is like hard, especially if like I don't look Jewish as far as I'm aware, and so it's really hard to be like I'm Jewish and everyone's like no you're not. I'm like okay but I am. But I can definitely relate to the part where it's like you're shunned for not being something
Not
even though
being
you
this. And
are.
then it's like, how am I supposed to look?
Yeah, like how are you supposed to tell someone what and what they aren't?
Like that TikTok audio of like, well, you don't look gay. Well, let me just. We're not gonna put that in. That's maybe. That will be in. Yeah, it's a TikTok trend, guys. We're obviously high schoolers, so TikTok is prevalent. But yeah, no, it's just weird how like, even in the community, like you're also like discriminated against.
Yeah, I hope we can find like ways to make like and teach other people how to make affinity spaces more inclusive to their own people.
Yeah. And then like sometimes it does help because if I didn't feel that like shunned, I wouldn't have found you guys. I wouldn't have like started talking to people. I wouldn't have gotten more people in LSU because I did like recruit so many people, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, but I don't speak Spanish," and I was like, "No problem.
You don't have to speak Spanish
You
to be
don't have
Latino."
to. Like you can come in, and both our meetings are in English and Spanish, whatever you're comfortable with. And I primarily speak English in the LSU meetings, and like sometimes I'll get like judgmental looks, but like I am Latina, so no one can take that away from me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that wraps up our little yap session. We're going to bring on a design team guest. And so tell us a little about yourself and what's your name?
I'm RJ.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
You ready? You ready to dive in onto this?
Yup.
Yeah? All right.
Could you tell us a little bit about like your identity before we jump into some questions, just so if you're comfortable, so viewers know, not viewers, but listeners know what's going on?
I'm mixed with black and white.
All right. Time to dig into some questions, RJ. For you, what is navigating your identity in school?
I guess I'd say being a part of like BSU.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was the president of my BSU for 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was that like?
Well, for the first year, it was just me, but I was able to like do things outside of my comfort zone, like speak on panels and meet certain people that I never thought I would meet. Yep.
Yeah. No. And is now the BSU, does BSU have more members or is it just you still?
My second year, we gained a lot more members, and we also planned like a lot of events and like field trips and fundraisers and all that fun stuff that affinity groups do.
You go to like a smaller school, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So as a Black woman, how does it feel going into like a school, sort of smaller school?
Well, my school's very different. I mean, I didn't feel seen at the school that I was at before, if that makes sense. So my school felt very seen. I mean, I didn't feel any type of way. I didn't feel weird. I didn't feel like out of place or anything like that. I mean, yep, it's been like that my whole life. So I mean, I'm kind of used to it.
To add on, it's like really incredible that as like a small school, you're able to go on those like field trips and all those, because I know smaller schools have issues getting funding and busing. So that's like really incredible you put all that together.
Yep.
My question for you is, how do schools positively impact your identity and sense of belonging?
Positively? I mean, I'd say my school has allowed me to step outside of my comfort zone and gain my confidence and to meet people that I never thought I would be meeting if I didn't go to that school. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the question.
I'm really glad that it like helps you out in that way, because sometimes like students don't always have that experience. And you go to alternative high school?
Yup.
Okay, that's really awesome.
All right. Our third question is, in what ways, what are the ways schools have or are negatively impacting your sense of identity and belonging?
I'm gonna just say this, and I don't know if I can, but I'm gonna say it. Negatively, I mean, I did not grow up around a lot of people who looked like me. I went to schools that were mostly like white and Hispanic, and I was like one of 3 mixed Black kids in my class, and none of us got along. That was hard, and also like having to or like trying to fit in, I guess. Like I never felt like I like fit in, if that makes sense, because I wasn't white with blonde hair and blue eyes, and I wasn't like, I didn't speak Spanish. Like I felt like I had nowhere to belong. And so like when I did get to high school and I found BSU, I found me.
Just as a little like side question, do you think if you like younger you, like elementary you, had a BSU, do you think you would have gone or like felt like better?
I think my school experience would have been a lot better if I had a BSU in like elementary and middle school.
Okay. Jumping into our fourth question, what are ways educators and administration can offer support to students who have different diverse identities?
Be woke. Dang. Okay, I'd say like educate yourself on, like, for administrators, I'd say educate yourself on the students that you have in your school and not just like one certain type of group, if that makes sense. And educators, just like be educated, like.
And like I feel like a common excuse is, well, how do I find this information? I feel like there's always like parents Google's free. Parents always want to like help out. Like there's educational equity advisory committees. Like I feel like parents and like outside communities, they're always here to like advise and help out.
You just need to reach out.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's like 1 minute of uncomfortable conversation, and then you're able to help so many students and make students feel seen in education.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Now it's time for this episode's banned books. We have 2 books focused on youth finding themselves in their spaces where they feel like they belong.
Our first book is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. The novel follows Marjane as she grows up during the Iranian Revolution. Our first book is Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. The novel follows Marjane as she grows up during the Iranian Revolution, navigating the clash between her rebellious spirit and the oppressive political regime around her. Through exile, loss, and self-discovery, she ultimately emerges with a stronger sense of identity and the courage to define freedom on her own terms.
The second book is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. It follows Xiomara Batista, a Dominican-American teen in Harlem, as she wrestles with strict religious expectations, her body, and her voice. Through writing poetry, she finds the strength to speak her truth, embrace her identity, and step confidently into her power.
There will be more information in the show notes on our featured banned books. But I feel like we've always if you don't feel comfortable enough, don't do it. But we need that uncomfortable conversation. We need a
Uncomfort's where learning starts.
period. All right. And we have one more question for you. What makes you feel supported in a classroom setting, a hallway setting, and a curriculum setting?
A classroom setting. To be real, if I had a blanket, I do best when I have a blanket. But if we're a hallway, my school don't have hallways.
Breezeways?
Just like
Openings between classrooms.
I'm trying to think. I can't be like, wear deodorant.
Yes, you can.
I feel like if we schools started telling people hey, we have these hygiene products, most if not all problems would be solved.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's my opinion.
I think maybe if we had I feel like hall monitors isn't the right solution, but it's more people who could listen and be stop. There was a guy who did the Nazi salute just out in the open in the courtyard in my high school, just chilling there, just straight up right in front of the principal, and it was nobody saw it, and I was like, yo, did you just see what I saw? It was that Christmas song, do you see what I see? And bro was like, oh, really? Let me go talk to him. I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know his name? I'm like, no. I try not to associate myself with Nazis.
Yeah. I'm not gonna name drop the school.
Yeah.
But the school that I used to go to, I would walk down the hall and I would hear the most brutalist things ever. And it's and these hall monitors, and one of them was black. And he wouldn't say anything. And he just let it happen. And I'm just oh, this is sad.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stop this?
And curriculum-wise, what makes you feel supported?
I guess curriculum, what I'm learning or what's being taught
what's
to me.
what's being talked to in classrooms.
Okay. I don't know if this is gonna answer the question, but I've experienced 2 types of different learning styles, public and alternative. And public curriculum was just it was the bare minimum, and it wasn't in depth, and it wasn't well, that probably didn't actually happen, and it was just textbook, flip the page number, all that. And then alternative curriculum is we dissected the Declaration of Independence, and we dissected and went through the Constitution and what each part actually meant, and an understanding of that. And I didn't get that in public
And that's such more thorough way of learning too, is going into something in depth that's more I wouldn't say more important than those textbook curriculums, but going through those documents, especially when a teacher knows what they're talking about, it's really influential.
Yep.
And especially if they include history that's not just like white people's history. Like if we had like history about like all cultures, because like when we have like an American history class, it's always white people, but America isn't just white people.
Yeah, my school is big because my school is big on Native American history and like other histories,
Yeah,
like all the history. It's not just like white people.
I dig it. Your school's ahead of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially in like for our schools, me
Yeah.
and MJ's schools, like they're like you have to take class for it. You have to like select it, so students can either select like the regular history or the ethnic studies history, or at least my school offers it. I don't know if yours.
We have ethnic studies too, but you have to like opt into ethnic studies or African American studies. You have to
Yeah.
opt into women's studies, and
like
I feel
you have
like-
to choose, and like I will say that like I know some people who are like they're not going to choose it.
and they're the people who need to know that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like instead of like separating, you should actually like intertwine history, because you know there's two sides in every story.
It doesn't make sense even like why is one course called American history and one like if it's just one side of the story in the first place. Like this doesn't make sense. It's so I feel like it's almost kind of sad that we have to like make a whole nother history class to include a group of people when we could just add it into the curriculum.
Yeah.
Clock it.
Thank you, RJ, for coming on to our show and telling us a little bit of your knowledge and educating the people out there.
We really appreciate you, RJ.
Thank you for having me.
Love for RJ.
Love. Our resources for today's episode are Native Youth Wellness, Ophelia's Place, Queer Eugene, and online resources from the Othering and Belonging Institute.
That was our interview with RJ. It was really nice.
It was really nice. It was like actually really informed us on like smaller schools, especially since we come from like bigger schools.
Yeah, like larger
public
schools.
So like alternative schools, also having like BSUs, like having a space for BIPOC people, BIPOC
Yeah.
students to celebrate their differences in culture.
I think it's really important. RJ mentioned like having, if any, spaces in like lower grade levels, like middle school and elementary school, and it would be really nice to see those start coming up within like the next couple school years.
And like I hate when parents are like, "Oh, BSU and like LSU in elementary school shouldn't be anything,"
Especially GSA gets so much hate for being in like elementary school
or
and
like
middle school.
schools. It's like it's just a place for them to like people from other races can go there as an ally. Like
Yeah.
they can like what's
There's
wrong
no
with people
like
learning?
it's complete. Also, it's illegal to have like it would be considered discriminating policy for them to not allow other races in there. So
You're allowed to go
that-
to affinity spaces. You just have to be an ally, and you have to be open-minded
and
you
respectful.
respectful. Sit down. You're here to listen. You're not here to talk. You're here to listen.
Yeah.
But it was really nice.
I really appreciated it.
RJ, if you're still in the room, we appreciate you and your conversations.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode of Between Classrooms. We hope you're feeling inspired to think about what the schools we deserve could look like and how we can work all together toward them.
Thank you to our design team members for sharing their thoughts and stories. Be sure to follow our Instagrams at Between Classrooms for updates on new episodes.
Don't forget to check out the resources mentioned in the show notes and share the episode with your friends.
We'll see you next time on Between Classrooms.